Hello, everybody. Here we are. It's Tuesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, and we have a new guest tonight for the first time. Tom Springer's with us. We're very happy to be here. We hope everybody's weather is as good as ours because it was great today. Tom is an interesting guy. He has a very interesting background. He's indigenous and Nordic descent. Hang on a minute. I'm going to play something if I don't look out. In his ancestral background, and he is interested in legend and lore. He first learned of his paranormal abilities when he was 49, when he was on his first paranormal investigation where he saw an apparition of a lady. That's a little weird to happen, isn't it, Tom? My first one was in the Avenue Avondale house in Virginia. And we went in there and we had people walking around and we could hear them walking. Yeah, it's kind of weird. So his abilities have branched into many different areas to include psychic and mediumship abilities, talking with elementals, speaking with individuals from different dimensions, and healing others through touch and burst energy and aura identification, to name just a few. More abilities are still coming through. That's the two of you are kindred spirits, I'm going to tell you. She's like, is there a contact modality? Oh, yeah, I can do that. And just all of a sudden, she can do it. You sound the same, Tom. Tom, my informal introduction does not do you justice. Tell us about you.
Hi. Well, thank you for having me, both of you. I appreciate it. As stated, my name is Tom Springer. I'm watching your comments pop in because I see that the StreamYard link works. There's a lot of folks coming over from my side of the house as well. But my name is Tom Springer, and I have really walked into my abilities, as you stated, about 3 years ago. It was really weird. I was on an investigation, and I wasn't even part of the investigation team. I was actually invited along with some friends who are paranormal investigators. And I'm sitting there with everyone. We're kind of sitting in the main room. And all of a sudden, this lady walks in, full period dress and everything else, and just introduces herself and says hi. And I said hi and started talking and everything else. And I with two other mediums, and they were like, "Who are you talking to?" And I'm like, "The lady right there." And they were like, "Well, we can see her, but why can you see her?" I'm like, "Because she started talking to me." And they were like, "How long have you been able to do this?" And I literally went, 10 seconds. And they were like, "What else can you do?" And I go, "Don't know. First time." So it was being introduced on an investigation to realize that my abilities came out. And then from there, they kind of snowballed. I tell people it was like drinking from a fire hose because it was just so much all at once, and trying to understand it and take it in. So I reached out to, I met this lady. She was actually part of the team somewhere else. She's actually remote part of the team. And everyone was online with her, and I've never met her before. And I walked by. In fact, I wasn't even part of the conversation yet. I was just walking by, and I looked over my wife's laptop, and I see her, and I stopped, and I go, "I know who you are." And she's like, "Really?" I go, "Yeah, your name is Joni." And she was like, "Yes, it is." Wow. And it was like, "How do you know who she is?" I'm like, "I've known her all my entire life. I have no idea why, but I've known her my entire life." And she ended up becoming my mentor. Because she's a Lakota shaman out of Canada. Okay. So she became my one and only mentor I've ever had so far. And at one point she was like, "Okay, I'm just I don't know what else to do with you. You say you have all these new abilities, but you've had them forever. You just are now remembering that you've had them because you've had them for multiple lives, and your vibration is so high, I don't know how to help you." She was at that level. "I can't help you anymore. You can ask me questions, but really I can't help you." So shortly after that, I realized I could speak, see, and hear elementals just like I am, both of you, which is very cool. I think that's tied to my indigenous side, but I did not know it at the time. And then just whenever someone would ask me, "Can you do this?" A spirit guide, don't know which one it was, would be like, "Yep," and automatically would turn on. It was like, "You can do this," and all of a sudden I'd start doing it. And for instance, you have someone in your audience. Her name is Her name is Ajeng. She's actually out of Indonesia, watching us from Indonesia right now. And she came to my show because I actually run a show kind of similar to yours. And she was talking about walking around locations outside, and she felt like someone was walking with her, and it made her scared. And she was like, "Does anybody know who this is?" And I went, "Absolutely." Hi, Steph. I go, "Absolutely, I know who this is." And she's like, "Well, who is it?" And I went, "That's your dad. He's taking your hand," because this is places when you're outside, like when you stop to walk by the pond, when you walked outdoors by where you went to eat, where you went to go get ice cream or anything else. And she's like, "That's exactly when it happens." I'm like, "That's your dad letting you know that he's walking with you. Don't be afraid of it. It's your dad." And my naivety comes in with the fact that I thought all of us can do the same thing. So once I started having my abilities, I'm like, "Oh, well, we can all do this." And they're like, "No, we can't." And I'm like, "What do you mean? Hold on a second. What do you mean we can't?" And they're like, "No, we all have different sets of abilities. You just have a branch of abilities that may be different than others." And so it's kind of just kept going from there, and it continues to go. And you read in there the aura reading. It happened the same way. Someone said, "Can you read auras?" And as soon as she said it, I saw her aura appear over her, and I said, "Yep." So she said, what color is my aura?" And I told her. And she said, "What color is my husband's?" And I told him, and they were like, "Damn, he's right." So that was the first time I ever did it. So it was like instantaneous. So again, it's just kind of picking up that interesting part where stuff just happens when someone asks. So pretty interesting.
Why did something happen to you when this all started, or?
I'm under the impression that that I've had it for a while.
Okay.
But I didn't know it. I didn't pay attention to it. I'm prior military, and I was in charge of a team, and I would always know when we were about to face danger or something along those lines, and I'd always tell our guys, cover, go hide, go cover. And for the longest, I can't say for the longest, for the first few times, they would like, "What's going on?" I'm like, just cover. And sure enough, a patrol would come by or something else would come by, and they're like, "How did you know?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just had a gut feeling." And so that is, that's the first inkling I can remember of something like that happening. And the other part of it was when just sitting around with friends or with family and my wife, whatever else, and we can be watching something, and I will say something, like even if it's like a sporting event or whatever else, and it could be just so off the wall that has nothing to do with it. And the very next sentence the person says is exactly what I said. And they're like, "How did you know they were going to say that? That has nothing to do with this, like what we were talking about." I'm like, "I don't know. That's just what came to my head." So talking to my mentor about that, she said, "You have the ability to glimpse the future, to kind of see what's about to happen sometimes. If you focus on it, it'll become stronger." But she said, "Right now, I just have a glimpse. That's why I'm able to do that."
Do you have dreams? Like I have a lot of warning dreams.
I have dreams and visions. I can tell which ones are which. Some people don't understand the difference, but luckily I've been able to figure it out. I do get some of them, but they're not straightforward. They're almost like guessing games.
You gotta decode it, yeah.
Exactly. But I do have a weird ability that if I have a vision and I don't like it, I can alter it. So if I don't like what's going to happen in my vision, I can move it, or I can adjust it, or I can change the people, or I can do other things with it. And I can do that in my dreams as well. But in my visions, it normally seems when I come to the other side of that, the vision comes to fruition, that adjustment has been made as I wanted it to, instead of what the initial one was. So, have you ever had to try to do any practice, learning, or do they always just come automatically? So I've been yelled at for using this term by numerous people, but I am self-proclaimed lazy. I don't practice. I don't study. I don't do any of it. The two of you are going to be great friends. You're twins. Whatever she wants to do, it just happens. And stuff she doesn't know she can do,
if the occasion arises, it's
Right.
automatic.
That's exactly what I'm
Sounds to
feeling.
me like both of you have extremely high frequencies.
Have you ever had like an alien or UFO experience too?
I have not, that I am aware of.
Right. Yeah.
I definitely know I'm a starseed. I've actually had a starseed reading done. And I've had 19 connections to different starseed locations.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
That's what she was getting at.
Yeah.
She,
Oh, yeah.
she is. She's been told every time somebody in that area
Mhm.
comes around her, they go, "Oh, you're a star seed."
Yeah.
They seem to know automatically.
Yeah. Yeah. Mine is a starseed attachment. But that really tells a lot about what I do, like in this world, compared to what I've done out there, because I'm very much a protector, and it really fits the fact that I'm Arcturian and I'm from Regulus, which is the house of the royals, and it turns out that my one of my spirit animals is very much what my appearance seems to be, and I did not know that initially, because my main spirit animal is a blue-eyed white lion. And that's really what they look like, are felines with the big blue eyes. And I did not know that ahead of time. Someone pointed that out to me and said, "You realize this is?" They said that first, and I showed them what my spirit animal was, and they were like, "Wow, that's really cool that attaches like that." Yeah, that's a Zhang right there. So hi, Zhang. I'm a psychic healer. Did something happen when our child that indicated you were sensitive but didn't realize it? I don't know, Zhang. My childhood was very unique. I mean, everyone can say that, but mine was. I'm the youngest of 13. I'm a twin. There's 3 people in my family, to include me and my sister, born on February 29th. So we're born on leap day. So there's just a lot of weird things that have happened, and I grew up in a very traumatic household. I'm the only male who never went to prison or has not passed away yet, due to unfortunate circumstances. So I'm kind of the black sheep, white sheep of the family. I was on my own when I was about 15, 16 years old, pretty much functioning on my own, but I was still getting all my. I was a nerd as well, so I was getting all my grades. Graduated when I was in 10th grade, even while I was on my own, type of thing. So it was really interesting to grow up in a household like that. So I was the youngest. It was basically, you know how the first kid always gets wrapped in bubble wrap and says, I'm really protected. By the time it got to me, my mom basically said, "Don't die, don't go to prison, and we'll call it good." And I'm like, "Cool, we're good." So,
Can you define a starseed for Kathy?
Kathy, a starseed is someone who is from another. I don't know if I want to identify it as a universe, but another location. Like I said, I'm actually from the Regulus star location, and I'm from the northernmost star, which is the Regulus star, and it is a different type of being, alien, if you want to call us that, whatever, but it's just identified as an alien type of person. But a lot of times you have more than one connection with the starseed. So like I have Pleiadian, I have Arcturian, I have a handful of other ones too that I've done. So all of my DNA attachments, soul parts, whatever else, can be formed from all these different starseed locations.
Lyran, you're Lyran, or however you say it.
I am Lyran. I'm very much Lyran. Yes. Yep. Yeah, and yeah. Zhang is a fantastic person. She has abilities. She is actually a pianist, and she has this wonderful ability to play. And when she plays, she opens up, and all the spirits from all the different generations come and stand around and listen to her play. You just see them walk through the hall, walk through the walls when she starts to play, and the kids sit down at her feet. The grown-ups, it's almost like they're having a party, and they're all just listening to her play. It's really cool to watch. So yeah.
Well, I'd love to see that. The two of us are music nuts, and she plays piano. So
yeah, Yeah, and her son also plays violin, and he does a fantastic job with it. He has the same thing. He hasn't. He's learning violin, but he does not realize that he also has that same opening that his mom does. He hasn't seen it yet. I watched a video of him not too long ago, probably less than a week ago, and I was able to watch them when he started to play. I was able to watch them like kind of come in and kind of listen. And they were learning that he is learning. And so they're going to be very interested in him as he gets older. So it's going to be very cool.
That's good. That's good. I had my dad. He was the Reiki healer and psychic, so it's good that they have each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, do you have kids?
I have a son. Yes.
Do you is he? Do you talk to him about all this, or
he knows about it all, but he has no interest. No.
That's like my son. He's like,
yeah. No, he has one of these, so he's
yes,
engaged in that. So that's where he's at. So that and his work. So he likes he's a very much a people person. He's a big teddy bear. He's 6'2", probably 350, and he's just like the biggest teddy bear in the world. And he's got the big beard like I do and everything else. So yeah.
Well, ours is 14, and he's with Grandma tonight.
He's
but
taller than me now.
He's almost as tall as me at 14. And there's a size 13 and growing foot.
Yeah,
he's gonna be a giant.
Yeah.
But,
I want to ask my usual question. What is how do I put this? What's the craziest experience you ever had, or to you, it's like, get it.
So on the paranormal side of the house, we'll go that way. On the paranormal side of the house, I was challenged by a negative entity. And again, I was still pretty new at this. I was still in my first year, and I went to a location because we became members of that investigation team. And one of our mediums was doing the Estes experiment when they blindfold and they put the headphones.
Oh yeah, that's a great experiment.
And our other medium was not supposed to go under. She was going to stay alert, and I ended.
Oh no, I removed him. sorry, Tom. I removed the wrong one. You went one.
But so we were at a location, and our medium, the one that wasn't supposed to go under, went under, and she was actually overtaken by something, and it was very very negative, and we were trying to have her, like, her eyes did the whole let's just go black thing. And her voice adjusted and everything else, and she was threatening and calling names and everything else. And I've always been told by a handful of people that lesser spirits or lesser whatever will not challenge me because of how strong I am, but the stronger ones will want to, because they'll want to test their mettle. And I'm like, I'm fine with that. I'm too dumb to know any better, so sure, let's just bring it on. And it said there was about 8 of us in the room, and at one point it was looking over to the right, and I was to the left of her, and it said, I want you. And the person sitting over there went, me? And she turned and looked at me, dead in my eyes, and went, no, you. And I went, let's dance. Because like I said, too dumb to know any better. So I grabbed a hold of her, and it jumped into my arm, and it started to come up my arm. Well, when it got to my shoulder, I locked it. So it was stuck in my arm. And so I had it in my hand. I had it in my arm because I wasn't going to let it get to my heart. And so I had it trapped. And how did I know to trap it? I have no clue. But I knew that I trapped it. So we went outside. We took her outside, and I jammed my hand into the ground, and I basically pushed it in through the ground and dissipated it through the ground. And she ended up throwing up all the black bile and everything else and all that other stuff that we needed to do. And we were out there for probably about another half hour, 45 minutes clearing her. But then we were able to flip over to one of my other abilities, and I call it the John Coffey effect. If I get a hold of you, so John Coffey is from the Green Mile, for people who don't know.
Yeah.
From the Green Mile that has this ability to feel you or take your pains and everything else. I have that ability if I can get a hold of you. And I gave her a hug with intent. And I took away all of that negative she had and all of her tiredness and all of her sickness. And then I released it back out into the atmosphere. So it doesn't jump to anybody else. And she was like, what just happened? And I was like, well, I hugged you and everything else. And she was like, all right, that was amazing. I have all this energy. What just happened? And then other people have had to experience that, whether through anxiousness, tiredness, depression, whatever else, sadness. And if I hug you with an intent, I can take that from you, but I don't worry about it going into me because I have, you know how everyone has a bubble, kind of they put their own bubble around them? I don't. I wear an armor. It's skin tight. It's my armor. It's a golden dragon scale armor that I put on myself. It looks like, well, you see my superhero behind me, Superman. But it's designed like that, but it's a golden dragon scale armor that is impenetrable. So whenever I take something from you, it sticks to the outside. And that way, when I let go of you, it dissipates off my armor and just goes back into the atmosphere like it never existed. So it doesn't jump to somebody else or anything else. I just literally take that pain away from you. And that was one of them that we found out that I was able to have an ability of. So it was interesting to figure that one out. But that was probably my the most threatening or the weirdest one to me as a first person was that one, because it affected me directly and I had to deal with it directly. And it was something that was the first time for me to do. And I just basically intuitively knew what to do.
Have you had energies like that again or something similar to that?
As far as
Like,
that's come after me?
Yeah.
I've had one, but it wasn't near as dramatic as this one is.
Yeah.
But I am still warned every so often that be careful because you're not old, you're ancient. So the things that want the power will come after you because you have ancient power. A good example is it was you'll see that the person that's actually in the messaging, her name is Nicole Springer. That's actually my wife.
Oh.
But the one right there, the one she says, "Me too," one of my favorites. That's the one where she was also the investigation with us. So she was part of that. She actually was right there for it. So she saw it. But the other thing that I've had to deal with is I can see, hear, and talk to elementals, earth, wind, fire, water, just so and at one point, one of my friend's neighbors had a house that they thought was haunted and had a spirit in it. And they asked me to come over. And I went over, and they did have a young man who was there that was in the house, and he was harmless. He just liked the area because he was a young farmhand who had passed away. They live on a farm. He actually died when he got kicked in the head by a mule in the late 1800s. But he grew up like a half mile away, but his place no longer exists. But he likes the farm because they take care of the land. They have the horses, they have everything else. So he likes being there. And her house is very calming until the earth elemental came in. And what happened is she moved into this home, but there was a flipper that had the house beforehand, and they hadn't completely flipped it correctly. So only half the basement was done, and half of it was just decimated with torn up dirt and everything else. And so the elemental was trying to heal the ground. It was just going. And the elementals, they're so gregarious, and their energy is overwhelming. It makes you feel anxious if they don't know that they're doing it to you. And that's what she was feeling. So when I got over there, I said, well, this isn't, I know your spirit's here. Here's who he is, but this isn't your problem. Your problem's downstairs. And I think there was about 5 or 6 of us that were there, and we walked down to the basement, and the basement is separated between a finished area, then there's a wall and an unfinished area. And in the unfinished area is where the hot water heater is, the heating unit, and everything else. At that wall, I stopped everybody else, and I said, don't come in here with me. It's about to get ugly. And I went in, and I see the elemental face me, and then he runs and he makes himself very small and he crawls up into a crawl space.
Uh-huh.
I was like, why are you running from me? And he said, because your essence is older than I am. And I said, how old are you? He said, I'm 15,000 years old. And I went, oh, I'm old. Got it. So, and then that challenge happened because he challenged me. And he was like, well, I can hurt you. And I said, well, really, you can't. I can hurt you. And he goes, you can't remove me from this location. And at that point, he threw rocks at me. And the people in the other room saw all the rocks come flying out of the room.
Oh my God.
They were like, did he just throw something at you? I'm like, yeah, I just threw something at me. I threw a handful of rocks. And so it hit the pillars and it hit all the heating equipment and stuff like that. And it went out into the other room. And my wife had her phone and she was trying to, we had a recorder, a video recorder, and she was trying to record it. And we just charged it before we went over there, and she tried recording it, sucked all the juice out of it and killed it. It was dead instantly.
Uh-huh.
It recorded. So we had to have a nice little discussion. And that's sarcasm at its best because it kept threatening me. So I finally just took my hands and I jammed it into the dirt. And I'm like, all right, feel how strong I am. Let's have this discussion again. I can take you out. And it said, I'm not alone. I said, you are absolutely alone. You are the only one here. And you cannot keep doing what you're doing. So I literally saw it like, look at me, like if it wanted to keep challenging me, and it just dropped its shoulders. And then it's like, okay, what do we want? So I had to learn how to compromise with this thing all of a sudden. And it was just an explanation of, hey, look, the person who lives there now is not the same person who did this to your home. You're making her very anxious and very uptight. Her chest was tightening all the time. She felt like she was always being watched. And it came to the understanding that if she gave it basically an offering, brought down nice plants, brought down rice, wheat, whatever else, just so that she was trying to help heal the earth, it was very good with that. It still stays there at the house, and they are very much copacetic with each other.
That's fabulous.
And it does help that she's a musician. She plays bass guitar, harp, piano, and she's actually gifted. She just doesn't know she is yet. She just hasn't opened herself up to it yet. But when she plays the music, it is very calm. Like it understands that who she is and through her music and stuff. So it's very calm.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Actually.
That really is interesting.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm thinking about something for a second.
I have a dumb question and then a second question. What is, I know people have explained it to me before, but I just don't really get it. What's the difference from an elemental, from a spirit, from like a demon? You know what I mean? Because I know they're strong. And then the other question was about shadow people. So
Elementals are only environmental. They're from the environment. They are not from different dimensions. They are not people who have passed on. They are built from elementals. They are made in the elemental form from the environment. And they're only... So it's very interesting to talk to and work with elementals because I make them sound very much like they're people, but they're not. They don't have a consciousness like we do per se. Their job is to do their job. So water is to cleanse. Fire is to burn away to cleanse, take out whatever's not supposed to be there. Earth is to heal the earth. And wind is to basically clear the environment out through the air. And if you're in the way, like say an earthquake happens, that is an earth elemental doing its job. There's something that's disturbed in the earth and it needs to fix it. So it will shift. And if a house comes down, it doesn't care. It doesn't recognize human at all. It doesn't have any human emotion at all in that way. It just knows this is my job. And we can get mad at it, but it doesn't know what mad is.
It's not doing it on purpose to hurt.
Right. It's doing it because that's its job. That's what it's been brought into the world to do.
Okay.
That's what it's going to do. So it doesn't care that human came afterwards. It's been there longer than we have, so it's going to do its job, and we just happen to be in the way. The best way to say that. I saw Rosie's question, why did the elemental stay? The elemental stayed because it likes the area. It has an area to build. It has an area to work on to try to heal that area, and it's also resonating with the people who live on the land, because again, that's on a farm location, and the elemental understands that those people on that farm are also trying to heal the land or take care of the land. So it is trying to do its job to heal that land, as well as the humans trying to heal the land. So it won't try to hurt the people, because it understands what the people are doing on the land now, and it's, for a better term, it's happy there.
Okay.
So
they both have the same job, kind of, right? Okay.
right, absolutely.
That's interesting. So I would say that our most regular visitor is a trickster.
Okay.
It moves stuff around. It unplugs my television regularly. Knocks stuff off the wall. I mean, yeah, it's just, but it doesn't seem to be threatening at all.
Right. Yeah, I can actually.
By the way,
What's that?
what exactly are tricksters? Anyway.
So there's a couple different terms for tricksters. Tricksters can be very malicious and very evil and very mean. And then there's also tricksters who are just basically doing what they're doing with you, and they're actually a spirit who in life was that person who pulled pranks, messed with other people, everything else and stuff like that. So when you're using the term trickster, you need to realize
Her dad. It's her dad.
I was going to say it's a family. I was going to say it's a member that's somebody that you know. It's not an actual trickster who is identified kind of like a lesser demon or a lesser evil.
Yeah.
Those can be identified as tricksters, but the one in your house is simply someone that has either lived on the property before, knows who you are, and just wants you to know they're there.
Yeah,
and
we're for sure her dad.
Okay.
The other visitor we've had is when we first moved in here, we heard poltergeist tapping on the wall, stuff got moved, etc. So I put up a security camera, and one night in the middle of the night, we were all asleep, the light was off, it was in night mode, and suddenly the light switch, you could hear it click on.
Right.
The camera went from night mode to day mode. Something almost transparent walked in front of the camera, and we heard it say, "Hello, Xander." And that was her boyfriend, Dave, who is Xander's father.
That's our son,
He's
Xander.
deceased.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But they recognized his voice.
That was
Yeah.
all.
It was a Class A, fully voiced voice.
That is very cool. Yeah, that is very cool. Yeah. When you said a trickster, I'm like, that's not a trickster. So I had to break it up in my head, because as soon as you started talking about it, I saw the image of the person who it was. That's something else I've learned I'm able to do. When people talk about it, when you talk about it, I can see your image through your like what you're seeing, and it plays into mine. It's almost like it's playing a video of what you're seeing in my head.
Neat.
Yeah, it's not always, but I would say probably 70% of the time that's what it's doing to me. If it's not, then it's not. It's something that may not have a consciousness or something that is blocking it. But for the most part, if it's just a spirit and you're like, hey, I have this thing, and it walks through our living room, and while it was walking through our living room, we had to knock this off our little coffee table or our end table on the side while we were trying to watch TV, and we both went, what was that? And I will watch that play out as you watched it. So
Then I'm curious.
Sure.
I want to see if you can feel our non-human entity.
Which one?
This one.
Oh.
So we're on the back porch,
okay.
and we regularly see stuff in our backyard and in the sky. So she says, "Give me the camera. I need to take a picture." She didn't point it at the sky. She pointed it out at the ground. And this was the picture where you can see the eye, the nose, the mouth, the bulbous head. So it's like a gray alien entity.
I say it's almost like a gray. Yeah.
Yes, it is a gray. And this is an orb, not anything else. Because she's pointing at the ground. That's some kind of orb.
Right.
So
Yeah.
anyway, I just wondered if you're getting anything from that.
I can see what you're looking at. Lala, you've had visitors.
Lord, all our life.
So I would say that wasn't a question. That's a statement, because this is a message directly at her, because she grabbed the camera. Yeah, this is, I don't know much more about it outside of what you're just talking about, but it was definitely meant, if you would have taken that camera, Bob, and taken that picture, you would have not have gotten this. It just wouldn't have been meant for you. But so you've both been visited, but Lala's the one who's really been taking on the trips more often than you have.
So mine are different. So when I take this camera and I point it at the sky, it doesn't happen every time, but it happens a lot. There is a grid pattern on the sky with 4 portals in it, equally spaced around the center. And she's gotten that, and I've gotten it. But this one, let me pull it out of the way so everybody can see us. That one talked to her.
Okay.
And they gave us our mission of doing disclosure and talking about them to the planet.
Yeah. But but Lala's the one who has more of the personal experiences with.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I do my best not to open up in my house. And that's where I am. So I'm trying to block everything out, but I'm letting little bits in because they want to talk, which is fine. I don't mind. But yeah, so this is new to me. We are actually experiencing something new right now because I always have spirit, I always have elemental, I always have anything else talk to me, but I normally don't have intergalactic or alien unless it's from a multidimensional or another dimension that wants to talk to me through in my head. But this one is different. This is literally like the Gray contacting me, letting me know, hey, she's the one who we're having the experience with. She's the one who's going to be visited in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, we're ramping up.
Yeah, so it's that's literally what I'm hearing right now. So you have something coming in the next couple of weeks towards you. Not dangerous, not threatening, but you will definitely recognize what it is because you've been visited by it before. It's going to be a repeat, and it's going to be one that you haven't seen, though, for probably about a year. So there's going to be one that you haven't seen for a little bit, and all of a sudden you're going to be like, oh, I know who you are, and it's going to come back, and you're going to remember who it is. So
that makes sense. I've been there a year ago. There was different activity in the sky, and they really helped me with like grief and stuff like that. But then I felt better, so they went away. But lately, I've been asking them to show up again. So,
all right, well, there you go.
She asked them to come. And so we there are other things I showed, but I'm not going to. We have craft around here all the time. There's one that regularly visits us, and basically we both can tell when it's here. We take a picture on one of our cameras, and she says, because she can hear them.
I was going to say, because
it's alive.
I was going to say, because your picture, they're there before it's there because you both feel it. You actually know what's coming before it's there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we've been getting a lot of activity lately, craft and other things. It's interesting.
My wife is just laughing, is just saying that now because because she has not seen me do this before. Because, like I said, this is new and live for the first time for me on television or
so
on video.
Did it feel different to you, Tom, from talking to human spirits?
All of them feel different to me. The human spirit, the non-human entities, the ones from different locations, like from different universes, parallel universes, or multi-universes, when they want to talk to me, they all have their own different feel. And this one, so the way I can interpret this one is because it actually shows me a picture of its face as it's talking to me, so I can identify what it is. A lot of them just talk to me. And then the best way for me to explain, so when I talk to a person and people want to know what I'm looking at, the only way that I can explain people is through actors or actresses. I say, this person looks like this. This person looks like this. And a lot of them are like, oh, okay, I can understand that. But the fact that the being just now showed itself to me as a face, I think wants me to recognize that I'm able to do this. Because like I said, that's the first time I've had to do that with an alien being. So, excuse me. So that was different. So that was just so we just experienced something different for me right here. And that's how it happens all the time when people goes when something happens.
I call it the hitchhiker. Once you've been around somebody that has an experience and you experience it, it hitchhikes home with you, so you can talk to it.
Yeah,
that's how I really got going with the hitchhiker effect. I went and visited an experiencer. We saw stuff, and that stuff followed me home, where I see crap in the sky and orbs in the house, that kind of stuff. But she is the one she was the one that was talking to deceased neighbors at 3 years old in a cemetery. I mean, she's been doing this forever.
I have a question about the shadow people.
Absolutely.
Have you experienced them, or what are your thoughts on what they might be?
Two thoughts on what shadow people are. Okay. Yes. A lot of shadow people are just watchers. They're just there to experience what you're doing, to see what you're doing, to watch what you're doing. To basically make sure of all the weirdest things, it sounds like a lot of the watchers are there to make sure that you are following your soul contract. They're watchers. That's what they're doing. And the other side of the watcher house are the watchers who are there's two sets of them. Either one is too shy to come out and play. The peekabooers is what I call them. And then there's also the lesser entity shadow figures who are more of the malicious side. But they're the lesser entities, and they're just not strong enough or not confident enough to do what they want to do yet. So they're trying to feed off of energy or off of pattern that you give them, so they can start manipulating that pattern to start being more malicious without you realizing what's going on.
What do you mean pattern?
You get up the same time every day.
Oh,
You do. So it starts to recognize what your patterns are. And so it identifies when you're, I don't want to say weakest, but when you're most open, but when you're most vulnerable is probably the best way to say it. So it can start picking at those locations, at those times, those time frames, to start getting their little tiny fingers into problems. So there's 3 different sets. But the majority of them are simply here to just watch, just to make sure we're following our soul contract, making sure we're okay, making sure we have the I don't want to whatever we need, like the I don't want to say the gifts or the abilities, but just to make sure that we have what we need in order to move forward, and to make sure that everything's going on. Yeah, Ash, this is live. So
very live. I wanted to prove it to him.
So Stephanie on here. So Stephanie Algaidi and I are actually on the Paranormal Existence Research Society team together. She's out of Georgia. I'm out of Nebraska. But our headquarters main person is actually out of Florida. So we're kind of all scattered throughout the place. But she's asking if I broke the internet yet. And the reason why she asked that, I had this little tiny block of shungite in front of my machine, because there's a tendency when I get on and when I start speeding up, you'll notice my talking starts speeding up, my elevation goes up, my vibration kicks up, I break the internet. It would not be the first time. That's happened a lot.
wow.
So I have to keep shungite available around my machine. So we try to tampen that down a little bit.
And organite's good too.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have all kinds of. I mean, I have.
Oh yeah.
It's a black amethyst sitting here as well. I mean, I have all kinds of stuff. So I got a big old slab of selenite sitting right here. So I mean, it's all surrounding me. So
yeah, we got a bunch of rocks and stuff and stones, and we put it on a display and all. We love that stuff.
Yeah. I have a green jade puzzle.
Ooh, nice.
Wow.
So they're all sitting around me down here in my work area. So, but yeah, yeah, because Stephanie's saying that she has to keep leaving and coming back because it keeps freezing her. So that's That's normal. And she was on my show recently. So the next comment where Rosie says that we both broke the internet, Stephanie was actually on my show not too long ago, and we absolutely broke the internet a couple of times. So, and that just happens. But yeah, so that's kind of where we are now. I realized, so my feelings when I recognize or when I feel beings is different locations. If spirit is talking to me here in this realm, it's in my head. It tingles all over my head. And I found out if something wants to talk to me from another dimension, it's through my shoulders. We had an experience to where I had this I'm going to call her a lady because that's how she identified herself, from another dimension. She showed herself as female, and she gave me the name Mary. And I started speaking with her, and people are like, who are you talking to? And I said, well, I'm talking to this being named Mary. And they're like, we can't feel her. We can't sense her. We think you're off. And she said, they can't hear me because I'm not in that dimension, but you can. And I went, oh, that's new. And that's the first time I've ever experienced that, is when she introduced herself to me and was talking to me, and I could feel it totally through my shoulders instead of in my head. So I knew it was from somewhere else.
Wow.
So
my interactions have been a little odd in the sense that mostly what my interactions are is I get downloads on an occasion. I'm taught things that suddenly I'm proficient in or a subject matter expert in, and I've never been trained.
Yeah, I do the same things. I talked Niphilims a couple shows back because I do something called an open mic night.
Oh, yeah.
And it's basically where I just come on and I just let people ask me questions, or we just talk about things. And we talked a lot about elementals for Rosie. And then we switched into the two different beliefs of Niphilims and what they are and everything else. And I've never studied them before in my life, but I knew everything about them. And it's just it seems that when that happens, when it happens to me like that, I used to second guess myself. Like at one point, someone said, "Hey, do you know about this?" And I hesitated. And one of my spirit guides said, "Yes, just start talking. You will be right." And so I just started talking. And it turns out I was right. I was like, oh, well, thanks for that. And that is, so I stopped questioning whenever someone asked me anything, because I'm being fed that information instantly on what it is as I'm talking about it. So I know that I'm not being misled or anywhere or anything else like that. And I would say there's a handful of things that I do that with. A lot of it is because of my background and my research, because I'm a nerd and I read everything there is. But the things that I don't read, I still know about. Like when I talked about the comparison between angels and dragons, that was not a research paper I did. That was just something that I was hearing and I was picking up information on and everything else and stuff like that about the similarities and how they resonate together. And people have it wrong when they talk about one's good, one's evil. Unless you're talking about Christian religion. Other than that, they kind of do the same thing. Because if you think about it, if you look at the Norse dragon, you look at the Asiatic dragon, the Asian dragon, and then you look at our angels, blue dragons, blue angel, they're both protectors. Green angel, green dragons, they're both healers. White dragon, white angel is both rebirth and purity. So they all follow the same patterns. It's just that they've identified as different things put across the that one I know a little bit more about. That's simply because they talk to me, Rosie, and they come to me and talk to me regularly. But with the angels and dragons type of stuff, it's because it was the same thing at one point, but when religions broke out, they decided to give them their own identity. Right. And so that's how people see them. And it's funny because some people here will be like, well, I have a dragon. And I'm like, absolutely you do. And I will tell you, you have a green dragon, you have a red dragon, you have a blue dragon, but right now yours is a baby because it's still learning what is needed for you. But your dragon is actually your angel. You just are seeing it as a dragon because that's what you want to see it as. And that's what I try to share with people is that they each have their own. Not everybody knows they have one, but they have them. They just have to identify how they see them. Some people say, "Well, I very much believe I am under the of the wings of Archangel Michael. I'm protector. I'm a protector. I'm protected. He watches over me. I'm guided by his beliefs. Everything else. Well, if you had that same belief, but you saw it as your dragon, that would be your dragon. Your dragon would be protecting you under his wings, doing the same thing. So it just depends on how you look at it.
And where did the dragon lore come from? Where did it start?
Dragon lore has been around for quite some time. It was originally decided that it was built as stories to help identify what was going on in the mountains for the weather changes, basically, and the fires and everything else. People made up the stories about dragons because they've never had anything along the same lines of the same thing as Bigfoot. They've never seen the bones. They've never seen this. They've never seen that. Now people started finding large scale bones and everything else, but now they called them dinosaurs. That's where that belief is from dinosaurs. But I am of the belief that dragons were absolutely real at one point, and they were interdimensional, just like Bigfoot, Sasquatch, Yeti are, which are not all the same thing. I actually think they have their own planet they are from, which is why they locate to different locations. Yeti is really Russia, cold weather, stuff like that. Bigfoot, Sasquatch, stuff like that, North America, along the southern parts of the United States, down into the South America area. But they all have their own portals they know of to come through to cross to go to another location through us.
Yeah.
So they're portal holders, which is why we don't find bones. I believe that's the same thing with dragons, is that they have their own path that they've taken, and they have just decided not to come through to us anymore, which is why we don't have them anymore.
I understand we're pain in the asses, so
I believe they have given up on the human race and just said not until they get their shit together.
Yeah, exactly. We really, really do. I mean, just look at television for 5 minutes.
Oh yeah,
we do not have our crap together.
Yeah.
I want to ask a quick question real quick. I know it's coming up all the time, but skinwalkers,
yes,
shifters,
yes.
have you had an experience, or what are your thoughts on it?
So I believe I have come across a form of a skinwalker a couple of times in South America.
Okay.
So as I mentioned before, I'm prior military, and I used to do very bad things to very bad people. And now my audience members will know the story because I've mentioned it a couple of times. It is a huge belief down in the smaller villages and some of the locations across the world that you do not go out towards cemeteries or graveyards at night, because those spirits actually come alive. And what they're doing is looking for people to take back with them, to take their souls with them. Us using that to our advantage, my military group would sleep in those cemeteries and those graveyards. So we would hear or see movement, and we would hear the cries for help off the sides, everything else, and stuff like that. And I enlightened them, don't go help. Do not go help. And this is before I even knew. It was just that sixth sense thing that I had that said, nope, not our problem, not our monkeys, not our circus. Don't go that way. But we would hear even when we're walking trails in the jungles and everything else, we would hear the helps. And I'm like, don't do it. Nope. We're on this path. We stay on this path. This is what we're doing. So I believe that I have come across them, but not face to face. But I do know that when that happened, the hackles on the back of my neck actually stood up. Like I knew that there was something that was not us. But yes, there's. I may have come across them when I was younger because I grew up in a pretty wide open area, but down below me was a huge canyon that was pretty devoid of any types of creatures. No animals wanted to be in there. and I used to wander through there all the time because I'm too dumb to know any better. So I may have encountered them as well, but I just didn't know it. But I believe later on when we were getting those voices called to us off the roadside, that was a skinwalker trying to lead us off. I was like, nope, we're not going to go play that game. So
Nicole's been playing detective, and she's got some ideas.
Yeah.
So now you've got somebody to blame.
By the way, when we're finished here, I'm getting the feeling I always get that I have a message for you from somebody. Okay.
Okay. Yep.
So,
yep.
It might be very personal, so we'll wait till we're off the air.
Oh, that's fine.
Fair enough. Yeah, I'll wait till. Yeah.
That's fine.
It's good.
Yeah. Oh, it's either going to be one or two people, and so.
It's a person, and then there's something completely different, and it's very large, and it's always right next to you on your left side. So.
That is actually a person, but that is how it shows itself.
Hey.
That is actually my dad.
No.
He is huge.
Yeah.
My dad in real life was about 6'10", about 360, and carried about 15% of body fat. So he was a monster. So yes.
Wow.
Okay.
I love it when I see two talented people share an experience 1,000 miles apart.
Yeah. But he shows himself as a dark figure, really big, very protective, and will not let you. He tries to block you from seeing things unless I release the information to say it's okay. So since I just said that, he's okay with that now because I can feel it because I just got all the feelings across my head. So yes. So if you something else, you'll probably end up seeing or hearing or whatever else, but that's because he knows that you have permission to. So, but yes.
She's kind of gotten. I knew that she was different when she read my family and my grandmother talked to her, and then my grandmother decided to go around with her everywhere for a week. The grocery store, the bathrooms.
I never experienced something like that before.
My grandmother was one bossy little woman.
So I want to share a quick story with you concerning grandmothers because it's one I never met in life, but it's Nikki's grandma, and it was in the home we used to live in. And we had in our bathroom we have one of those humidity fans. So whenever the humidity would kick up so high, it would automatically turn on. And if you ever wanted it to turn off and be manual, you just had to flip the switch and it would just stay off. And we did that. We turned it off a handful of times. Well, there's a handful of times we came into the house and it was running. No way it should have been running because neither one of us turned it on. And it happened numerous times. And Nikki's like, what's going on in the house? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm not opening up in our house. So she basically cussed it out, like yelled at it and said, whatever you are, stop effing with my stuff. I'm tired of this. You're not supposed to be in my home and everything else. And then one of our friends told her, that's your grandma.
Oh.
She was just letting you know that she's there. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry, grandma. Go ahead.
I like your wife.
Yeah.
So every now and again, I feel his presence near me. And she'll look over and say, oh, it's your mom.
Yeah. Yeah.
She visits a lot.
Yeah. My mom is one of those that did not very religious, born and raised in a Pentecostal household. My grandfather was a preacher, never believed in this. She never knew I have this ability because she passed right about the same time I was developing these abilities. And at the end, she had dementia, so she would have never understood it anyways. And when she passed, though, and I was able to hear spirit, she actually went over to one of our friends who could hear and see, and she says, hey, I have someone with you. And I go, that's my mom. Oh, she starts talking about her, and I go, oh, that's my mom. I go, tell my mom I can hear her, that I can actually hear her. So my mom left her and instantly came over to me. She's like, hi. And I was like, hi. So yeah, interesting because she was never in life. She was never a believer of any of that. She just didn't think it was capable. So, but now she knows. So, yeah.
Well, okay. So yeah. Okay, I'll wait. All right. Anyway.
So it's funny to be. My father was a minister.
Mhm.
So we didn't have any of this stuff around, and he was very into education, and I was a very technical kid. So even though I kind of knew this and that, I would never bring it up and never deal with it. And
Yeah.
then stuff happened to me only when I was away from home.
Yeah. So what's funny is so you came on first, Bob. You came on first before Lala got here. And I saw your name title, and I'm like, I can hold a conversation with you too, because I literally just got done talking about scalar waves and
Of course.
and shattered fractal pieces and time jump and time ability and multi-dimension layovers and all that other stuff, just on another show not too long ago. So I had.
I was on a space earlier, and people wanted me to talk to them about the Aronoff-Bohm effect.
Oh yeah,
the scalar wave and a vector potential and so forth. And it's just my life. They know me. They know I'm that person, that resource, and they ask me a lot.
Yeah, my wife laughs at me because I can talk that side of the house, and then she laughs at me because whenever we start, because a lot of times I'll switch over to that and I'll talk about multidimensional or parallel universe, whatever else, and then she just kind of glazes over and she's just like, I know what you're about to talk about. And there goes Rosie right now. She's like, slow down, boys. So she's even seen the conversation happening. So,
Oh.
But yeah.
Okay, so last question. By the way, can we have you on again?
Oh yeah, please.
Oh, absolutely. I'd love
to. Oh
to.
Yeah, please come back. We'll do an off Tuesday night when you're not doing Monday nights, and we'll figure out a time. I think we ought to let people join us.
I'm all for that.
Haven't asked me anything. She does dowsing rods online and other things.
I got the dowsing rods. I got the pendulums. But really, I work beam more than anything else. So
especially after I saw the two of you connect and interact, it ought to be fun. And of course, I'm the scientist. I'm just going to sit here and watch.
No, I would love to. That would be fantastic. Thank you.
So okay. Would you like to promote your show or anything upcoming, or where people can find you?
Sure. So I'll give you three of them. So I actually run a show like this that's very similar to yours because it's very informal. You never know what's about to happen, but my audience has been talking about it that knows me on your messaging over here. There's tons of squirrel moments. If my show does not have squirrel moments, it is a bad show. They expect the squirrel moments. And see, Rosie even posted it right there. She even highlighted it. Nicole Springer, those would be squirrel moments to us. So yes, that's absolutely what would happen. But my show is a lot like yours. It's on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Central or 8 Eastern. And it's called Stuff I Never Learned from a School Book. The title came about because I had nowhere to turn to. And I wanted people like us to come and talk to and know that they could discuss and not feel odd or awkward and weird. And we would try to help each other out as much as possible. So that's how the show came about. That's how that came about.
Nicole says it's a 6 squirrel night.
Absolutely. Absolutely. My other one is there's a couple people that are on here. Bill Slevin is actually our boss, who's way up there. And as I stated, that Nikki's part of the team as well as Stephanie. We are part of the Paranormal Existence Research Society, or PERS. And Bill's out of Florida. There's a team out of Florida, a couple teams out of Florida, one team out of Georgia. I'm out of the Midwest. So I basically take care of the 5 surrounding states, and they'll travel out to different states too. And we're a free help for people who feel like they may have something in their home, or feel like they may be coming across something and they just need help. But it is not for those who are trying to just mess around. It really, you fill out a lengthy questionnaire and sign off a lot of non-disclosures and stuff like that. if we're going to help you, it's legit, because our team is made up of so many people. We can jump on like this and talk, and we have everything on our team. We have human behavioral analysts, we have psychics and mediums and witches, and I mean, we run the whole gambit. So we have a huge team worldwide that we can reach out to and pull in to help on cases. I'm sorry?
I said that's wonderful.
Yeah, and then my Nikki and myself actually run another investigation team, and we're called Sixth Sense Investigations, and it's mostly local right now, the unknown stuff in our area. But I do have a page on Facebook, and I have posted a couple of the cool things that we've either been sent or that we've seen ourselves. So that's out there as well. But that's pretty much how everyone can find me. I'm on YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Instagram, and it's all under Stuff I Never Learned. And if they need to reach me, it's stuffineverlearned@gmail.com. Very simple. So,
And I love watching your show, by the way. It's
I appreciate it. Because it resonates a lot, just like this one, huh?
yeah.
Thank you, everyone, for being with us tonight. Please go to Tom's page and subscribe and look at his shows, and come back on Tuesday nights with us. We're thinking about adding different stuff on other nights, so pay attention to Orbis Paranormal in the places you see us. Tom, it was great. I can't wait to get you back.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.